Welcome back to the JumpifyLabs Podcast, the show for founders who want growth without the guesswork. Here we talk about AI and the systems driving predictable growth. And today's guest is someone who leaders turn to when the stakes are really high. Jennifer Morgan is a presentation sales coach known for helping teams get more clear, get sharper, and be more human in every interaction. She spent years on Wall Street supporting multimillion and billion-dollar deals, and she's here to share the communication principles behind closing bigger opportunities. Jennifer, welcome to the show.
It's an honor to be here, Jay. Thank you so much.
The pleasure's all mine. Let's kick things off. You describe yourself as a presentation sales coach. In your words, what does that actually mean in practice?
So I think it's really about building relationships. And I think relationships are key in everything that we do. So I think what's interesting because when I present myself as a sales coach, I sometimes say sales specialist versus coach, even though I have my certification in coaching from Columbia University's graduate level program, as well as the International Coaching Federation. I think that it's really important to focus on the relationships that we build through clarity of communication and consultative interaction. So it's really how are we in service of other people through the relationships that we build that may lead or can lead to transactional.
Absolutely. And us as well as an AI growth partner, the AI handles a lot of the one-to-one conversation, but I will always say there's never a replacement for the human element. You still have to build human to human relationships or else bots can't have relationships with each other.
Not yet.
You supported massive institutional deals on Wall Street. What did that environment teach you about communication that people don't learn?
So I think what happens is I think that when you are part of something that's so much greater than yourself and you're working with people who are focused on an agreed upon goal and they really want to focus on being the best version of who they are, you learn methodologies, tools, and templates to use in your everyday life that extend well beyond huge institutions that I have worked at before. And so I think what's happened is that the client service that's given in a larger institution, if they really key into what's in it for the client, what do they desire, what are the needs that we can satisfy or service them in a way that no one else can to really stand out. It's the people, even over the process, even over the performance, because a lot of the institutions that work against each other or fight for market share, there's a lot of similarities aligned with their process and or their performance. So the standout tends to be more and more the people. And so I coin the phrase, how do you escape the sea of sameness? How do you become uniquely you in those conversations and solve things for what people need immediately, midterm, and long term in business, and more importantly, in life?
Communication is the base of everything that you do. You've often said communication is everywhere, from coffee to keynote. What's the differentiator between someone who's just a good communicator versus someone who's actually consistently closing the bigger deals?
Amazing. So I think it truly is. I think that what's happening now in general in my experience in society, and I get bombarded, just so you know, Jay, with asks about 2 to 5 times a week. Somebody says, "Oh, I see something you posted. I can do this for you." The people that I react to, including yourself, Jay, as well, the reason that I reacted to what you said is because you sounded very human. You seemed genuinely interested in what I was doing. You were genuinely interested in being in service of others, which is a massive differentiator. I think the biggest problem that I see overall, doesn't matter if it's big corporate or if it's solopreneurship, is that people oftentimes want to steamroll other people with the information they know and say, I have to solve something for you, yet they don't know if there's actually a problem or issue that needs to be solved for. So that's the biggest rub that I see. So if you truly go back to the foundations of consultative selling, I'm asking you deepening open-ended questions. What are some issues you're facing? What are your thoughts on what's happening in the markets and modern day environment? Really understanding truly what the issue is. And I often say that people lead first with the analytical, but oftentimes it's more of a motivation from the emotional or from what's inside, it's from within. So understanding what true problems they may have or issues they have. And then in the moment, if you can pivot that and say, I think I might have something that can help you out. And again, coming from a very fulfilled mindset, scarcity mindset, I see doesn't close the deals. So I've worked with and I've talked to a lot of people who are starting their own businesses or they're starting a new job. And they often say, well, I have fear. I have a scarcity of something. So I think it's really the consultative selling. It's coming with being in service of others, building those relationships. And it's understanding that there's no desperation. It's fulfillment and making sure you're there really, truly to be motivated to help other people to elevate.
You've said so many good things there. So these are some of the things I teach as well to the people that I'm coaching. And the coming from a position of desperation, when you have that scarcity mindset and you have commission breath, people can sense that. So people are intuitively reading these signals. You don't know you're giving off, but you're giving it off a mile away when you are coming from a position of scarcity. You've dropped a lot of good things there, and I'm sure a lot of this is within your book. So tell us a little bit about not what's inside of your book, but first I want to go to share your title, but why did you write it and who did you write it for?
Amazing. Okay, well, first of all, I love what do you say, commission breath?
Commission breath. Yeah, exactly.
I've never heard that before, and I love that. That's a quotable by Jay. I love it. That's fantastic. You have to use that, put it somewhere. People need to know about that. It's wonderful because it just says so much of the essence of what we don't want to hear and what we're becoming more and more candidly in some way allergic to. We're rejecting the idea of that, especially being bombarded constantly and daily. And we don't know if it's a human or if it's a bot. It's fabulous. I love that. So to the book. So I wrote the book. It's called Hearts, Minds, and Wallets, the thin book that closes gigantic deals. And I wrote it actually at the inspiration of my 81-year-old neighbor. I was back in Seattle, Washington. That's where I was born and raised in the greater Seattle area. And I was having dinner with my family visiting. And she said in the summer of 2023, Jennifer, you need to write a book. I had just, on my own accord, I had resigned from corporate. I loved my job. I loved the people. I loved the value that I was adding. I loved helping and being part of something that was so much greater than myself. It was incredible. I said that I wanted to try this new business. If it worked, great. If not, I felt like I had enough open doors. I was told many times I didn't burn any bridges, so I could always go back, which is an amazing thing to say after 15 years on Wall Street. So she sat down and I said, I rejected the idea candidly, and I don't reject a lot of things. I'm often the yes person. I want to try new things. I just said, it felt a bit of an overwhelm. So after 6 months of back and forth, she convinced me to write the book for two main reasons. And the third came later: to democratize the ideas of what I saw worked with over 40,000 people at the time that I worked with in 16 different countries. We joked around. We used to do rock tours, rock star tours. I would be literally gone for upwards of 10 weeks at a time, all over Asia Pacific, all over Europe, UK, continental Europe, and then all over the Americas. I'd be gone for extended trips. And I tried a lot of things that worked, and I also tried a lot of things that didn't work as well. So I decided to put those frameworks into this book. So it's really about what you do before a meeting, before a pitch, before an interaction, what you can do during that time or after that time as well. So it's literally written in a way that each chapter is broken down into a tool or a template. Then I have a paired autobiographical story of something I've seen, experienced, been involved in. That's actually paired with it, bringing that tool or template to life with my experience in general life and, of course, in business.
Amazing. I'm glad that you put not just the tactical things, but the stories behind it to make them real. And you
Thank
also
you.
mentioned that your book supports Make-A-Wish New Jersey. What is meaningful about that cause to you?
So Make-A-Wish is the third prong. So it's democratize ideas, book as a business card, candidly, and then Make-A-Wish. I really wanted to, from a very young age, I wanted to give back in some way, specifically to Make-A-Wish Foundation. So Make-A-Wish Foundation, when I was 12 years old, my best friend at the time, who was very ill, she received a wish from Make-A-Wish Foundation. And she was sick, candidly, for a very long time. And ultimately, we lost her when I was 15. Jay, it's interesting. I don't actually talk about this very much. But I'm going to just pause for a second. So, yeah, when she was 12, she received the most incredible wish from Make a Wish. They sent her and her mom to a log cabin for a week in the woods, 24-hour care for her. And seeing her before the wish and after the wish, it's as if she had become a 180-degree different version of who she was. She was more positive. She was happy. She gave her mom a break on the week. She said from taking care of her 24/7. And I think that there's an underestimation about the experiences that you can give. Now, it's critically ill children is what they do. They give wishes. And so since I live in New Jersey and I've been here for a long time now, after I left the Washington state area, I lived in London for 3.5 years and came back here. And I had always said I wanted to, when the time was right, when it was appropriate, to give something back to be in service of others or community. And I hadn't found the right time to do that. And when the book was coming about, talking to then the woman that said I should write a book, who became my book coach, Maggie, she said, Jennifer, I know you're very focused on giving back in some way to society, community, donating time, money, whatever you can do, you try to do as much as possible to help others. So she said, "What are you thinking?" Without hesitating, I said, "It has to be Make a Wish." So the long story short, or longer, is that I called Make-A-Wish New Jersey, and the woman, the representative, her name's Dominique, she was excited and ecstatic to be part of it. Of course, you want to understand what the book is about. So a portion of the proceeds from every hardback book sale, whether you buy it through distributor, online, through bulk for me, whatever, it doesn't matter. A portion of every hardback book sale is going to be donated to Make-A-Wish. So I have a goal. I didn't realize how much the wishes cost at the time, but each wish costs on average about 12,000 US dollars to grant a wish to a child. So I'm pushing pretty hard to try to grant at least a portion of a wish, or hopefully the whole wish. Q1 of next year is the goal. But I'm holding off a bit because I want to accumulate the sales. And it's not for me, candidly. It's really for sharing the ideas. I know this stuff works. As I always joke around, this stuff does work. The tools, the templates, and practice, it's for clarity of communication to have better relationships. So that's the Make a Wish story. Thank you for asking, Jay.
Yeah, that's a beautiful story as well. I love how you're also remembering all the people that have helped you along this process. You mentioned your book coach by name, you mentioned Dominic by name. You're definitely exemplifying the relationship building that you're actually talking about. You're actually living and doing the things you teach. Let's talk about business. So, early in your business, you said you made the mistake of reaching too far outside of your network. What
Correct.
actually happened?
Great question. So what happened was, I think that, when you pivot from, I was award winning. I felt like I was giving a lot to people, elevating others, adding value, and also it was reciprocated back to me as well. So I'm very, very fulfilled, and I have a lot of gratitude for the experiences that happened to me. So at the beginning, when I first started my business, I reached out to some people that I knew who referred me to others. And it's an interesting thing. Adam Grant talks a lot about givers and takers, and he had wrote a book on it. And I read his book, and I said, "Oh wait, there's a third category: givers, takers, and matchers." So a giver is someone who genuinely gives, expects nothing in return. We know this. The taker is a person who takes and doesn't give anything back. Now, the matcher is an interesting one, because the matcher is, you've done something for me, I will do something for you. Or I do something for you, I expect you to do something for me. So I didn't realize, and I think it's also because I think it was a naivety on my, or lack of experience with the general world, being inside of a company for almost 10 years. I knew all the people. I knew what they did. I knew what my role was. I knew that you could call me at 10 o'clock at night, 5 o'clock in the morning. By the way, this really did happen. I'd be on to 1 o'clock with Japan doing training workshops, 5 a.m. on a Saturday morning. I get calls. I was literally living that work life integration, epitomizing it beautifully. Now, getting out of that, I naively maybe assumed that people would be the same in the real world. So I got a couple referrals those first 6 to 8 months, and I didn't realize that there are takers in the world. And so I ended up giving away, candidly, between you and I, tens of thousands of dollars of services for free. Now, I would have been fine with that, candidly. But the only thing is that the people had promised me, when I said, they wanted to do something and I could help them to do something. And I trained them, I coached them, I got them on made stages. I did a lot behind the scenes, which I don't even think about. I just do it and don't even think about it. But the interesting, I would say, pivot was where they would say to me, "Well, Jennifer, if you're doing all this for me, I'm going to do X for you." But then X never came. So that's what piqued my antennas went up, if you will, proverbially. And I said, wait a second. They said they were going to do this, but they didn't fulfill the agreement of what they had put out in the world. So I think it was interesting. I had a conversation then with a person who I was phenomenal. His name's Igor. He's actually one of the chapters in the book. I call him Igor, the truth teller. He pulled me aside and said, "What the bleep are," I don't swear a lot. "What the bleep are you doing? Get your act together." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He'd never spoken to me in all the years I knew him that way. And I said, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Go back to the people who know you. Go back to the people who saw you in action, the people that you helped and you serviced. They will remember you. They will know what you have done." So that's what I did. I started making phone calls in my network, and that led to lunches, breakfast, coffees. And it's interesting, Jay, I'm going to share this with you. I've been very fortunate to date. I've really not asked for business. It's because of the level of, I believe, trust that's been earned. People know within 24 hours you're going to receive a thank you note from me for having me on your podcast. You'll know that I'll respond to your notes in a very quick way. You know that I will be there at least a minute, if not more minutes early. Early is on time is late. Like, I think that there's a lot of respect of other people that I inherently do have. And it's funny because I don't think it's different than anybody else, but then I realize when I'm doing things now more in the public view and eye, I'm seeing how it's different. So, last thing I'll share is I was invited to go to an amazing conference and keynote. And so I believe that when you're invited to a conference to do a keynote or MC an event, your job is to be there the day early, walk the space, do a tech check, AV team. You and I had a prep call, for example. You send me your run of show ahead of time. Like you and I are, it's like the ethos of each other. I love it. You're so prepared, you're focused, you're here to be in service of me. I'm here in service of you. And so I went to this conference where usually I go to sales kickoffs. I'm the main speaker or I'm the MC introducing other people, which of course I love. It's a byproduct of my business. And I did my opening keynote and there was a small break. The two other presenters arrived. Now I arrived the day before. I do a full tech check, full run of show. I even offered the marketing team to help set up, which this woman said in 25 years of doing this, speakers have never offered to help me set up. And I thought to myself, well, I'm literally here to be here in service of you and your audience. So it's interesting because the other two speakers asked me if I'm going to stay on the stage during the presentation or if I'm going to come off the stage during the presentation because they were interested in our video. And I said, well, I'm very interactive. I go off the stage. I told them because AV team told me the day before the blind spots, all of that. And I said, I'm going to actually go off the stage. And they both looked at each other. Again, these are people I'd never met before who were keynoting on the same stage after me. They said, we're staying on stage because the video is really important to us. I thought 350 people day one, 250 people the day two, they'd stop their lives to be literally in the room. So I'm very focused on time, energy, the fact that people are willing to stop their lives to be with you, I do believe is the greatest gift you can give someone else. You could be doing one of a million other things right now, but you chose to spend time with me and vice versa. I chose to spend time with
It's so good.
you.
Great nuggets you dropped there. One of the first nuggets that you mentioned that you dropped was going back to your warm network. I tell a lot of people this thing where it's like, oh, you have this big idea. You don't want to go to your warm network because you're a little bit nervous, intimidated. But your warm network, it's going to help you validate the idea before you spend time, money, energy going out to the masses. But also, you got to be careful with that as well because people also, they're your friends. They may not tell you the truth exactly either, trying to just be nice. So there is a bit of a balance there, but I'm sure you figured it out. People pay and give you their opinion with their wallets. So
That's true. And I think, Jay, if I may, I'm gonna tap into that for a moment because it's really important what you just said. 98% of my network, of my friends, my colleagues, my former colleagues, my family all thought that I had lost my mind wanting to leave corporate. I was a senior executive director. I was a couple years away from being put up for managing director. And that's the trajectory. They thought, what are you doing now? It's interesting. I think that it's a really important principle that I've learned myself. Who are you taking advisement, mentorship, or coaching from? Has the person walked the walk and talked the talk? If that person's walked the talk, I think it's great. Now, people inherently, I think, if they haven't done something out of the norm or they haven't decided to set up their own business or have done something different other than being, working for a company for a while, I think all opinions are absolutely valid. But I think the ones that have done something that's exemplary or pivoted their life in some way, those are the people to tune a little bit more into. And I received so much bad advice. One person, for example, told me, and I don't talk about this a lot, but I think it's just interesting for our conversation, you need to have 6 months of savings saved up. Now, that person was giving the advice as well to other people as well. And I had a coach come to me who is 3 months into her journey. She had children, husband, and she became desperate. So she came from that scarcity mindset, that the commission breath. Oh, I love that so much that you had said before. So I think that understanding like what really will work for you, the emotions are one thing, but it's the analytical, the practical, literally looking at the dollars and cents or pounds or euros or wherever you are in the world and understanding, well, how long can I actually realistically live for at the lifestyle that I want to maintain and still build something. So I'm coming up literally to be in service of other people and importantly dedicated to what they need. So candidly, I've given stuff away for free. I've sponsored things. But the thing for me is if I really feel like it's the right room, the right people, and there's a growth mindset, I love what I do. And I feel like we from within need to be the model of positivity, joy, energy, that we want to see in the world.
You and I are very similar people. You are like weirdly similar in a sense. Is like I also give away a lot of stuff for free. I give my whole entire frameworks. I give by all means. I have nothing to gatekeep because if you're trying to change your life, who am I to stop you and be in the barrier of that? If it takes up a lot of time, sure, that's one thing. But if I could just have a conversation, absolutely, I can help you. All these things, I just love doing it, just like you. And it's clear that you love what you're doing.
I
And
do.
you also wanted to turn your book into a 12-week cohort. Have the frameworks already in there. It's all neatly packaged and lined up. What's the most exciting part about that vision?
So I think, it's interesting because people ask me now, what's next? Is there another book? And I'm thinking this book just got released. I need to just have time with this book now. And what's next? So I was thinking hard and long about this. And I really do love the idea of having cohort style learning. So the book is 12 chapters with the final chapter. I didn't call it chapter 13 because some people are superstitious. So it's the final chapter. The first 12 chapters really focus on a tool or template with those paired stories. And the dream is, as a next step, when the time is right and I'm ready, hopefully sooner than later, I would love to have three different versions of those cohorts. One for people who are getting their bachelor's degree, master's degrees, university. Next one is for incumbent or newly hired, your rising star talent, if you will, 0 to 5 years. And then more of your management, I would say, into senior management level as well. The idea being is that you do it cohort style with your colleagues. And week one, for example, you listen to a video, you have an agenda, you have goal setting, and you learn the tool or tip. And then what you do is in between week one and week two, you practice with someone live. So I'm hearing more and more from companies that people are literally on open desks and they're texting, instant messaging, or emailing each other versus actually having a conversation across the desk. They're sitting at the desk in person in an office with earbuds on. Now, I totally get it. You might be a researcher, you might be like full on, you might be a coder programmer. I get it. But there are certain times where having a conversation will reduce the amount of back and forth. I call it the tennis match of emails, DMs, and IMs. Reduce the tennis match and literally just ask someone a question. You can learn so much from being on an open floor and hearing other people talk. So the cohort style learning, I think, is from a personal perspective, it would massively increase the democratization of the ideas, first of all. Second of all, it would actually help a little bit too. And there's only one Jennifer. As a true solopreneur in what I do, by the way, I do have access, of course, to other coaches and consultants built in my network if I need to tap into them, if I ever have bigger offerings for sure. The thing is, though, I'm thinking about the passive income stream as well. So, how can I reach more people? How can I have more of a sustainable model as well? Because right now, doing things all on my own, I love it. I love building, I love facilitating, I love delivering, I love being behind the scenes when I prepare keynotes for the main stage, for their TEDx talks, all the different things I do. The challenge I have, Jay, is I'm loving everything and I want to do it all. But I realize that we need to hone our focus and be a little bit more niched in where we spend our time to maximize who we're with and what we're doing.
What are the biggest levers, right? Like, where's your time most valuably spent? If you had a magic AI robot who could maybe do one of these things that are taking up time, that's repetitive, or maybe something that's low leverage, what would you have that robot do?
Very good question, actually. So I think the challenge I have, first of all, with the AI robot, unless we build, and we talk about this offline, of course, a private AI or a protected AI, right? We need encryption, all of that. Because the challenge I have personally and professionally is I work a lot with Fortune 5,500 companies, and it cannot and is not allowed to be public because with several of the people that I work with, either I have a verbal NDA or I have a written NDA. But I think the best thing for me right now, where I am in my inflection point, CRM, 100%. I would love there to be, and the thing is, it's funny, I'll be honest with you. I was one of the three roles I had at my former firm of JP Morgan Asset and Wealth Management was I was the global head of asset management technology training. I was one of the head sales coaches. And number three, I help people with media, being on television, keynoting and panels. And I also did a little bit of the work on the side of myself. So it's very interesting. I helped to roll out big, large, chunky systems, if you will, of CRM internationally to various lines of business over the course of the 10 years that I was there. So it's interesting as a solopreneur now, and doing things on my own, that would be the most helpful to have those updates, pipeline, opportunities, business at risk, all of that stuff. I think that people really underestimate the need for that to be able to use the garbage garbage in, garbage out. We have to make sure it's clean data, of course, but understanding how we can actually do more with the data, the reporting, the analytics, business intelligence if it exists as well, and whatever framework that we're using. So for me, if tapping in is the first step to AI, that would be it for me.
You speak like a true sales rep. And we are sales reps, the really good ones, are the ones that don't update their data. They don't move the proper deal stages. I like to think I'm a really good sales rep. When I was a commission only rep, I was very on top of it, but that's also because I'm kind of crazy. I'm militant, I'm disciplined, but
Well,
I
you
know,
have military background. So, and again, thank you for your service.
yeah, and most people don't. So it's always a headache when you're looking at the CRM. It's like this guy had a conversation weeks ago. There's no notes. The deal stage hasn't moved. So yeah, absolutely a huge pain point. All
Yeah.
right. So Jennifer, what kind of founder or revenue leader gets the most value from?
Good question. So the joke is anyone. So the thing is, though, I typically work with Fortune 50, 500 companies. Now, what's interesting about that, though, is I'm getting more and more incumbent asks from founders. They want to understand, well, Jennifer, I need to pitch something. I need to do Shark Tank style. I need to do TED Talk style. And I want you to look at I don't do a lot with materials, but I have recommendations based on my experience, right? Oftentimes we saturate people with too much visual information. We should streamline it. Do you even need a deck? I always ask because you are the presenter. You are the literally the star in that music video. Backup dancers are the slides when you need them, bring them in. When you don't, take them out. So I think what happens is crafting the story. Oftentimes, the thing that people ask me for is, what's the first thing I need to do? And I'll say, well, what's in it for them? And they'll say, what do you mean? I say, well, what is in it for the person that you're presenting this to? And start with that, believe it or not. So, what's the story? What's the problem? What's the rub? What is it the person needs help with? Jennifer, if you could use AI, what would you use it for? I mean, you asked a great question. That would be one of the first questions if I was pitching something to someone, even though I don't really like the word pitching. I call it more information sharing because it's less salesy, even though I
Mhm.
teach pitch training for a living. So I think that it's really understanding what is in it for the other person. Because again, back to it, if someone's going to spend 20, 30 minutes with you, you want to understand what you can do to help them to have a better life, professionally, personally, etc. So founders, I think we get so excited about our idea. We're saying this is the best idea since sliced bread and we can't wait to share it with the world. But it's understanding what is the value to other people, it's understanding the competitive analysis. How do you stack rank against other people that are doing what you are doing? And then how do you differentiate yourself on the market? Those are three things I always tell everybody. You have to really key into who you are and importantly to your own motivation for doing it because emotional contagious contagion tells us that people can literally feel our this is in the book your internal dialogue equals external action, and it stands for IDEA, believe it or not. So I love a good acronym. I love good sayings. So if you're thinking in a way that's commission breath, if you're thinking in a way that's some way nefarious or not advantageous, all about you, not about the other person, people can literally feel it and see it at a cellular level. It's incredible. So making sure that you have the right motivations when you go into meetings, understanding that you are there to solve something for them. I think I keep saying that because it's so important in the ethos of who you are. You can have the greatest invention of all times. If it's not helping people, the planet, or pets, I love peas as well, I love alliteration, then what are you doing it for? Like what truly is the reason for you doing this? Now I understand we need money. Money's important, but money as a massive motivator, obviously that's important, but people get turned off when they think that's your only talk track. So I always say that most important to me, it really is that adding value, being a positive force for making sure that energetically I'm showing up in service of other people, making sure that I do something to help them in some way, shape, or form. Truly tapping into listening as well. I think that founders is something that founders truly do struggle with because they get so excited. Oh my gosh, I have this meeting. It's going to be amazing. But they forget to actually stick to their agenda. So, what's going to be your discovery session? What are things you need to know about that person before you even start to share information?
That's so good.
Thank you.
You're dropping so much good stuff here. And everything you're saying, I'm just like, this girl gets it. She gets it. She
Thank
100%
you.
gets it.
Appreciate that. It's very kind.
Yeah, what's the best first step for someone who wants to stand out in their outreach or in their presentations? What's the first place they can go to get a glimpse of your world or maybe get into your ecosystem?
Thank you so much. So it's funny because I rarely self promote. This is very fun for me and different for me too. Funny because I teach sales, pitching, communication for a living. Is that interesting? So my website's connectivecom and it's connectivecom.com. So connectivecom.com, the company is called Connective Communication because I do believe at a cellular level that we have emotional contagion, positive conversations, clarity, brevity, and being succinct are really important. So connectivecom.com is the website. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me as well on Facebook, Jennifer D. Morgan. You'll find me under Jennifer D. Morgan. One has a dot, one does not. You'll be able to find that. And then, of course, I'm on LinkedIn as well as Jennifer D. Morgan as well. So feel free to connect with me. Any of your listeners, I do respond to all the DMs, just so you know. Myself, I write all of my own LinkedIn posts. I have a little bit of help from a fractional chief operating officer who is the most wonderful human in the world. He's the person I call on the weekends to help me when I have that moment of inflection because I used to have this huge desk, people I could talk to. And once in a while, when we're alone, we need to have bounce ideas off of other people just to say, is this right? Am I doing the right thing? Because the amount of information we don't know far outweighs the amount of information that we do know. So, as a founder, as starting your own company, I always say that once in a while we can hit a little bit of that decision fatigue and overwhelm because every day there's something new that you're doing that you've never done before. And I think it's absolutely exciting and wonderful. My brain is on fire with so much information that I'm learning every single day.
Well, you've shared a lot. I'm sure anyone listening, there's going to be a lot that they can talk about, reach out to you with. But Jennifer, thank you so much for sharing your framework, sharing your book, your resources, and sharing your overall wisdom. If you're listening to this and you like more stories like this, if you want to hear from other leaders like Jennifer, be sure to tune in to the Jumpify Labs podcast for more. We're bringing on interesting, outstanding people that are doing it every single day, pushing the envelope in business growth. My name is Jay. Thanks so much for listening. We'll talk again soon. Take care.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you so much for the gift of your time. And more importantly, for those listening, for the gift of your time. Jay is a fantastic human. Follow him.
Thank you so much. Take care.